the Sanctuary of Light and the Light Institute. Welcome each and all of you to this time of knowings and invite you to bring forward questions in your heart so that through our conversation we can extend out an opening to the world so that all peoples can feel that there are not only solutions, but there is more. So, who would like to begin?
I was wondering how we might best contribute to the consciousness on the planet, the sort of inner calm and stability that goes with the knowledge that while these changes are tempestuous, they are in no way terminal to the planet.
Or ourselves.
Or ourselves. And in some way to help communicate that to humanity in general. Because, for example, the people just affected by the tornadoes and the tsunamis and the earthquakes and these kind of things may have a very hard time understanding that this is just a minor adjustment to them. It looks quite major.
You know, we never really recognize how our thoughts and where we put our attention exudes from us and influences people. Right now, the influence is on fear. The influence is we can survive financially, physically, spiritually, on any level. And that is like this incredible tumor that's growing towards 2012, you know. And so it's very important for us to find all ways of communicating. It might be sending out inspiring words in the internet. It might be, and best of all, in your meditation, radiating out that sense of calm that simply reminds people the dramas and the terrible events that are occurring right now are occurring for us. It's hard for us to get that. In other words, that's a part of the purpose of our lives. How do you relate to a tornado or a tsunami or an earthquake? What does your consciousness need to teach you from those experiences that may be far from your own personal experience? This is how the world begins to weave together. As my higher self always says, what happens to you happens to me. And so the more that we feel inside that, again, to the eternal soul, we can contribute something to all of these things. And also just holding an image of balance on the planet would be tremendous, you know. And balance is not status quo. It's simply we stretch out, we have this occurrence, and then we come to the next level because we respond to it. That takes us to the next octave. We have another thing, we go out, we'll come back in. And that's really the spiral of evolution. So that we see the purpose of our lives not from if everything could just be still, I can be peaceful, but the world around me is not. But rather to feel that we actually can extend that peace and that inner knowing that says this is the purpose of our collective lives here on the planet at this moment. So there are so many ways today that can be contributed, and we need to raise our voices on that, because the voices that are raised right now are the voices of doom, and not the voices that are holding the cosmic giggle. This is not the first time this has happened, and you were probably here the last time it happened, which is why so many people are upset, you know. So that we can begin, the potential is infinite. You know, we could create structures that tornadoes could not destroy. There is so much for human consciousness to embrace through each experience. Oh, that's destroyed by wind. My higher self, by the way, has always said for the last 40 years that water would be worth more than gold, and that wind would be the most dangerous thing on the planet in the future. So here we are, coming right into those octaves. And so the thought that comes to me is, well, how do we live in the wind? How do we participate? How do we not only survive, but how do we do that dance? I was thinking about this as I drove in, that every week we call the rain. But I feel that you don't really believe that if you call the rain, it will come. Or that you call the rain for a second, you imagine it for a second, and then it goes out of your consciousness. No, in days of old, and the Hopis have been doing it for 4,000 years, is you hold that until it rains.
On that subject, part of my hesitation in calling the rain is this extreme reaction that we see around the world. And, you know, I notice that we don't ever sort of modify how much. And when you think of, you know, like the floods in Pakistan, you can call a lot of rain. So,
Yes. So when you're calling the rain and you extend your consciousness to the molecules of moisture and you bring it down, see it coming here, see it coming in a steady, gentle rain. You just hold that in your consciousness. When there are floods in Pakistan, you extend the sun in Pakistan. You know, we're not the only place in a drought right now. Germany right now is having quite a little drought. You know, so we want to feel that we can be specific about that and bring it into a kind of balance that won't be destructive to humans. You are not responsible because you were calling the rain here for the floods in Pakistan.
no.
That's
No,
their story.
I just meant, I noticed we don't put any qualifier on it that we, you know, we want rain, but we'd rather it didn't come in, you know, a 40-day, 40-night flood.
Right. Well, so then that's a point of recognition. I know that often I say it, I know that Gwen says it very often, where we're qualifying, see this rain coming down, gentle, long, long rain, soft rain. And so if you don't hear that when we're doing the meditation at knowings, then put that in there. But what I'm saying to you, see it that way. It's the visualization of it in your own consciousness that can stabilize the effect there. And the same can be true if you're extending it someplace else. You know, that it be a rain that serves, that the earth can take it in, that it doesn't run off. But there are many ways that we can participate, and we always used that at the Nijoni school as a way of really teaching people that we are part of the natural environment, the divine worlds, the Devic kingdom, and that we have the right to do that. The problem is that most of us have been involved in the Middle Ages. And there was a lot in the Middle Ages, and in fact, even up until now, there was a lot of that kind of bending nature to our will. Nature will do what we want, whether that was in witchcraft or whatever form that was in. And today it takes the form of scientists meddling with the chemicals in the air. We have had beautiful, last week after we called the rain, we had beautiful rain coming down in certain places. It just didn't happen to come here, but we did have it coming down. And sometimes when they're fiddling with it chemically, the scientists or those who are fiddling with rain, they actually keep it from coming to the earth. Not, of course, I don't know, but probably not purposefully, just that they don't have their combination correct. But we can use the body. That's why spinning is so important. If you're ever really trying to create something that's physical, spinning while you're holding that, for example, spinning around while you're calling the rain, will have a tremendous effect, because it's like using your body as the focal point. And that's very, very effective. I think that's why when I would call the rain with children, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, and it's raining on a clear blue sky right now. Teenagers, an hour or two later, usually a downpour. Adults, typically it's about 3 days for us here. But so I want to say to you, when you, and this touches all of our conversations, when you focus on something that you want to manifest, you want to be right there with it. And that's why visualization is so important. Not somebody saying now, imagine this or look at that, but in your own mind seeing it, you creating it in your visual centers of the brain. And as you do that, then there's a level of presence there that has a magnetic energy that pulls it. And so that's what we need in our lives, not the trying, not the squeezing, but the really focusing on it. Because when we're calling the rain, we're always saying the smell of it, the sound of it, etc., etc. You have to really let that in. Let that in. And if you do, it will rain. Because as my higher self always says, the rain doesn't mind raining. Imagine what causes it to rain: the white clouds and the dark clouds kissing each other. That is exactly what happens. They don't mind. What else is important to you at this moment?
Could you talk a little bit more about, you said it's not going to happen if you don't have the belief. Could you talk about?
Well, if you know that I don't love the word belief.
Right.
But what I mean by that is if you can't imagine that you could participate in it. And that's the way we are with most of our life. Oh, it won't happen for me. Oh, probably that'll never happen. And so we do things on automatic pilot. Okay, here's the rain. Oh, but we're not present there. And so what I'm saying is, that's what I mean by focusing on something. You have to allow yourself to experience it as if it were happening now. And when you do that, that creates that, again, magnetism. That's what I mean by belief. As you know, we had a 4-year divinity school here. 2 words we never used were belief and God. Because belief is so much in the head. I believe this because my brain says it's so. And what we want to do is to experience it as if it were real. And that's what allows us to shift from our limitation into the part of us that can participate in it. And so by believing it, I really mean, do you have unconscious thought forms that say you don't have the right to call the rain, or memories in which you manipulated the weather or nature? I mean, there was a lot of throwing frogs into pots, A lot of that stuff went down. And we're paying a price for it now. And so we want to really release the blocks that say, oh, it's just coincidence, oh, it'll never happen, or whatever is said. I have seen it in absolute miraculous ways when we have called the rain or the snow, or quieted the wind, or turned an hurricane. We've done it 1,000,000 times here. And it's simply because we all went, yes, let's do this. Rather than, I'm doing it, let's do this. Let's do this. We have the right to invite the rain. We're not the ones raining. It's a real easy thing to remember. We're not the ones raining. We're not causing it, but we are opening it up. Any healer knows that you're not healing anyone. All you're doing is extending enough energy to invite the healing. If it serves that person at that time, if they have enough illumination to be able to turn around or connect to their body in such a way that they can make that shift, they will do it. And your focus and the energies that you lend will absolutely support that.
Could it be helpful to avoid squeezing the rain, just to feel the joy, the happiness, as if it would just occur, as if it had just rained?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Is to feel when we say smell it, touch it, hear it. It's the same thing. Often when we're doing that, I see myself playing in the rain. So that's
Yeah,
exactly what you're
yeah,
talking about. And
yeah.
that's what's attractive. This is true in relationship, it's true in business, it's true in every octave of our lives. The more joyful we are, the more we invite
And the
to
healing.
us. Completely
Yeah.
healing, absolutely. Healing doesn't occur because you're going, it's gotta be, it's gotta be.
Yeah, yeah.
It never
It's
occurs that
already
way.
done, right?
That's right, it's
Yeah.
already done. So when it's already done, you have to live as if it's done. You have to
Yeah.
get up and say, I'm well.
Yeah.
You know, I always gave my children the mandate, you have 24 hours and then you're done. And it didn't matter whether it was the flu that's supposed to take 10 days or chicken pox or whatever it was. There was no music, there was no playing, there was no nothing until you healed yourself. And they were very quick to heal themselves miraculously of almost anything. Because they wanted to do something else, they wanted to get on with life.
Wow.
And so it's really about getting on with life right now on this planet. Thank you, that's beautiful.
How does meditating on the rain and inviting the rain relate to just sort of having a conversation with the rain spirit? Or, you know, I mean, and I'm not trying to talk about sort of spirits just, but I mean, this sort of, to me, archetypal energy in a way that is the rain. That not just a spirit kind of hanging around in the
Well, whenever
aspect.
you're focusing on
Uh-huh.
something, it has life force.
Okay,
Therefore, it is alive.
yeah,
You know, that's why the Mayans, the Incas, everybody else called it the rain
Yeah.
spirit. Because they called it the rain god.
the rain god, yeah.
Because it had that power. And so it's just a different way of talking about it. It's
Okay.
all the same
It's the
thing.
same.
You're not just throwing something out in the air into something that's out there that's just a molecule of moisture that has no life. All molecules are living. Therefore, there's consciousness there. Sometimes we get too involved in the spirit in that we relate to it on a personal level as if it's going to do something for us. And that has caused shamans and people a lot of trouble over the last few hundred or a few thousand years. But you know, grandfather spirit, the ways that the Native American would speak of things like
Yeah.
that, always has a coagulation of energies that give it personality or power or definition, and it's perfect to do that. The downfall of that is when, just as the Christians and the Western world have said, well, God, whether it's the rain spirit or it's this one or that one, is relating to me personally, and I have to do something. For example, the Incans got very busy, and so did the Aztecs get very busy cutting out hearts, etc., trying to please that rain spirit, Tlaloc, etc. So we can carry it too far, but I think it's really beautiful to see things, not to say that only humans have soul, that only humans have consciousness, but that all wood, even after it's cut from the tree and it's sitting in your house, it has consciousness,
Right.
it has a vibration. And it's important to be aware of that in a way that, again, releases us from, talk about squeezing, having that personal conversation, I'm going to do it for you so that I please you, which is what they got into, or and God's going to do this for me because I'm a good girl. You know, if we could relax all of that and acknowledge here's the rain spirit, absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
There's 3 eclipses coming up in the next month. What could you say about that?
Are they, I haven't looked, are they solar or lunar?
Well, I think there's one in both. There's one at the 1st of June and 1st of July and one in between.
So again, the interesting thing about eclipses is galactic or celestial, I should say, celestial bodies passing between us and the sun or us and the moon, conversations that are going around like that and causing a shift. Whenever there's an eclipse, just take it this way. Whether, basically, even if it's a solar eclipse, but especially in the moon, and the same as full moon and new moon, there's a shifted energy coming towards the planet, which influences the life force of humans. And the past shamans knew that there was going to be an eclipse. They recognized that energy and they wielded it to align with more powerful celestial bodies to create changes. And so for me, whenever there's an eclipse, there is an amplification of energy. And that amplification of energy is always a change. So always we have the sun or we have the moon and it's there. And then, you know, the earth passes between or the moon passes between or something passes between. And suddenly there's a change in the relationship. There's a triad there. And we know that all triads create friction. Mother, father, child, friction. You know, and that friction causes change. And so the beauty of knowing an eclipse or even seeing an eclipse or being part of an eclipse is to actually grab it. And I would say that the beauty of it is to take it in for the physical life force energy. I was once in a complete solar eclipse in Kenya, and you could see through the blades of grass, you could see through the leaves. They became absolutely translucent. And a miracle. It just was amazing. And the most powerful thing that struck me was that all insects, all birds, all animals froze. They stopped. They were feeling the effect of that energy. And so it's like anything. It's when a planet goes stationary and turns around in whatever direction it's turning around. At that moment, it's a time when we can use our consciousness to feel that and to claim it. But the difficulty that humans have is that we always say that life is happening to us. You know, we never say that we are happening to life. And we need a lot more of that. And by that I mean that here's an eclipse. So, that's going to be changed. I'm going to pull it into my body. I'm going to amplify that kind of frequency that is changed by that. So that when it comes out, there's a change in me. I now have more stimulus to my cellular growth. I have more expansion and expression. We had a lunar eclipse just a couple of months ago. I can't remember when it was, but it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I happened to fall out and be awake at 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was so interesting because there were colors to it. And it was almost like you could pull, like spider webs, as if you could pull that web, that opaqueness, that kind of energy, and that it was so real that you could touch it. And so we want to use that energy, and that's the same conversation of calling the rain, talking to the rain spirits, like connecting with the dogs. It's the same energy, you know, that allows for that kind of change. Again, the shamans always place their rituals at that time to amplify the imprint in humans. Pay attention, wake up, something's going to happen. So what we want to do is to say, I am taking that energy in and using life. I'm causing it to happen. What do you want to happen? What is the change that you want? What does your body need so you can translate that into something that pushes out into your life and alters our planet as it does? So we can be, in a way, you know, the radiant poles, channels of that kind of energy, and utilize it. There are all kinds of solar flares. It's quiet right now, but there are all kinds of solar flares and things that are being intensified between ourselves and other planets at this time. We can say time, in this pulse, in this cosmic pulse. And those things are facilitating, whether it's meteorites coming close or it's the changes of light. It's all something that, if we're aware of it, we can say, we can choose to recognize it in a certain way, and by so doing, create it in that way for us. I love eclipses of all kinds. And I can tell you that if you're ever standing I felt as if my whole body were translucent. You could see through bodies, human bodies as well. Everything was just, it felt like, again, this spider-webby energy, only it had a sort of mustard color to it. Penetrated right through the marrow of my bones, right through my body. And so we want to applaud that. And we want to dance with all of those energies that occur. The solar flares definitely change the energy moving in and out of our auric fields. Thank you. What else?
Why is it that predominantly, not everyone, but the majority of people as they get older have trouble or resist learning new things? It's a brain question really, what's going on with that?
What happens is that in every direction we are bombarded with energies in our lives that put us in a place. What happens as we grow older, when we're above 26, let's say, we begin to identify ourselves and we say, this is what I'm going to have, this is what it is. And with that identity comes I'm holding on to this because this is how I survive. And as we do that, we stop that kind of growth for learning. Let me reinvent myself, because if you learn a new language is a beautiful example of that. Any of you that speak more than one language, you realize that you have different personalities in different languages because they allow different aspects of the self. Of course, I would say that's because we have many incarnations of the soul, and so we have points of reference, profound points of reference from our spiritual essence, our emotional bodies that relate to different ways of expression, whether you're putting the subject at the front or the back or in the middle or left to right or up to down. You know, the brain is doing something with all of that. And so we have to have the fluidity of saying it's all an adventure. It doesn't matter if we fall on our face. It doesn't matter if we make a mistake. Well, when we're young, we're willing. As we get older, we're much, much less willing because more rides on it. What rides on us not making mistakes is our identity. And that doesn't have to do really with how old in years you are. It has to do with how much you squeeze your sense of self. Your sense of self. And so another aspect of that is that as we grow in our lives, many things happen. We're not only afraid of making mistakes, but our brains don't focus as well. Now, there's a lot of biochemical reasons for that. There are a lot of things that can be done about that. But I find that we don't pay attention. We are more on automatic pilot. And if you get up into the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you will really see that. Children are not paying attention either, but they're so stimulated that all their little neurotransmitters are multiplying, their dendrites are multiplying all the time, whereas the older people are just pretty much flatlining. And every once in a while they stick their heads up and say something, maybe their lives. I notice it, for example, probably 2/3 of the people in this room read before they go to sleep. You know, we become very, what's the mind telling us about what's true? Most people really can't sleep unless they read first, because they identify with what they're thinking or what they're connecting to in that way, rather than the beingness. You know? And so we can reverse all that, but we have to be willing to reinvent ourselves continually and to play the child. You know, we have to have that fluidity to skip and to laugh and to fall on our faces, maybe not literally, as we grow older. And if we do that, we will learn. The difficulty is that what we learn as we go through life is limitation. We learn to rationalize. We connect the dots all too well. We say, if I do this, then this will happen. So I draw a line between this dot and that dot, and then there's no play. There's no place in between. And so without that wiggling around, as it were, we begin to move into this funnel. More limited and more limited and more limited. And more, this is how I see it. I always say, if you think about it, most of us become pretty much like our parents as we go through our lives. It's a scary thought, but we do. And that's because we, instead of learning something new, we begin to amplify the repertoire that's been given to us. All of the thought forms, all of the experiences we've had are part of that identification. So when we feel, I don't have the energy to do something, we fall back. It's just like right now on the planet, when the fear level rises, instead of meeting the challenge, what we do is we fall back. We fall back to what's secure. And that is absolutely not the most productive choice.
Holding the word fear, I just was thinking about a sort of fear of which you don't think you have the fear, but obviously young people can make so many experiences and don't think of falling at their faces. But
that's why I just heard
if you get older and older, you say, oh, I've made such a lot of experience, and every new experience comes with a sort of danger.
Yes.
So it isn't worth anymore.
Yes. And so the two aspects of that, yes. One is that we become very addicted to control. You know, I'm going to control this so I'll be safe, which is the residue or the result of fear. I'll be safe because I'm controlling it. Whereas the young person isn't so interested in controlling it. They're interested in seeing what they can do with it. You know, absolutely. And so very often we say, I'm not afraid, but we're terrified. We just don't know that we're terrified. We're stressed. And that stress comes from squeezing, from saying it has to be this way, this is what has to be true. Instead of, there are many truths. There are many ways to perceive something or relate to it. And so this is a very good time to say, what would you like to learn? I mean, if I looked around at this group right here, and I said to you, what would you like to learn? I know what she's learning. She's learning 13 languages at once. You know? What are we learning?
Well, you talked about reinventing yourself.
Yes.
And my friend and I have committed to help each other. We want to shift our mindset and open our hearts and attract a partner, because we've both been along for a long time and we decided it's the year. So what can
It
you
is
tell
a
us?
great year for that. Thank you. I happen to think that relationship is one of the important things. Remember, the first thing I want to say to you both is that my higher self says there are 5,000 partners out there. So count up how many partners you have and subtract that from 5,000 and you'll see that you really have a good prognosis for finding a partner. And then there's a duality there. One side says, this is what I need in a partner. I need a partner who's compassionate, who's kind, who can support me, blah, you have this list over here. And then you have, on the other side, infinite potential. Because what happens with our list, you know, yes, we want to say, I don't want any partners that's not going to be kind to me or supportive of me. But so often, through our negative experience of relationship and the fears and the experiences of our parents and our parents' parents, we have so many has to be this way, has to be this way, has to be this way, that no one can get through your coat of armor out here. And so one of the best gifts that you can give each other is to really help each other laugh and play and spin, do meditations together about the frequency of attraction that you're pulling in, I recommend holding each other's hands and spinning around, like little kids spinning around. Creating motion, and during that motion, feeling, here comes my love, here comes my love, here comes my love, for example. So that you're not too qualifying. Because what I have learned is that you can love anyone, and anyone can love you. But if you haven't found a partner in a long time, the place to start is, where is my denial? Where is my fear? Where is my coat of armor that says you're not going to hurt me, you're not going to hurt me, you're not going to hurt me? Instead of, like a young person would do, you're delicious. Let's see if we can dance. It's not about the end. It's about the opening. I wouldn't say the beginning. I would say the opening that moves out from us. And so you want to, in your consciousness, really begin to look at, what are your thought forms about it? Often people, who have been married or have been with people and then are alone, they say, oh, I'd love to have a partner, but actually I couldn't stand picking up his dirty socks. Or I don't have to cook for anyone, or sex takes too much trouble. So you need to look at what may be just under the surface of your, I want a partner, but really I don't want to have to put out. I don't want to have to be the giver. I don't want to have to cook meals. Well, then invent a male who loves to cook. It's very simple. So look at what I don't want it this way, I don't want it that way, and get rid of I don't want it this way kind of things. So that you're actually, again, not the beginning, but the opening. Every day, what color do I need to send the message of my joy and my willingness to someone who's waiting for me? Because on a spiritual level, that famous 5,000, they're all lined up out there waiting for you. And you're saying, no, not that way, no, not that way, no, not that one. It's just like what we know about the ovum, the egg going 10,000 sperm or 20,000 sperm, however many sperm are coming there. No. Yeah. So you have to look at you. Sometimes people in New Mexico say, well, there are very few men in New Mexico. There are only strong women in New Mexico. Well, we wouldn't think that's true, would we?
No, we wouldn't.
No, we wouldn't. But again, you see how limited is our conversation? Somebody could arrive here tomorrow who is your perfect mate. And how did he get here and why? Because there was a thing called synchronicity, in which your consciousness attracted him and brought the job for him, or brought the whatever it was for him, and then there you are. And so I really want to say that it's easy to love and to find someone who really matches you. The cosmic giggle of the 5,000 that could fit you really means that you have particular themes, and there's oodles and oodles and oodles of souls who have traveled with you before, who can help you learn those lessons. What you want to do in your consciousness when you want to attract someone is to have those lessons be joyous ones. For example, you could meditate on what do I need to learn to really love well and joyfully. Maybe it's somebody who's funny, or maybe it's, I've forgotten that I have humor inside me. So you have to relax. It's just like women are having trouble being pregnant today because they're trying to be pregnant in their heads. You have to be pregnant in your body. So if you're talking about a relationship, you can't say, well, yes, but I can't, sexuality. I'm not very interested in that part. Just want someone who's financially stable and who'll be very kind to me. That's not going to work. You're going to have to see what in you is going, no, because those no-nos, nobody can get through them. So you can pick them apart piece by piece and converse with each other, because whatever your no's are, she probably has them too, etc., 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 etc. And really release those from your body, and also meditate on the opposite of that. So we're going to do a little meditation on that right now, because even if you have a partner, even more so if you have a partner, you want to amplify that message that radiates out from you that says, I'm adorable, I'm wonderful, I'm brilliant, you have to be invited in. That brings in another point. Whenever we want somebody and we start pulling psychically, even if they liked you, they would turn around and run. So my higher self always says, long rope, long rope. And the way you attract a partner is you shine, you get bigger, you get visible, and you don't go, I'm going to grab you. No Black Widow stuff goes on here in a successful relationship. You know? So and that's what you want to do every day. So close your eyes, take a deep breath into your body, and now just ask your body to show you where you are holding any black spots, any pieces of iron or protection, either in your auric field or in your body, that's saying no. So just take a deep breath and feel in your body. Is it in your heart? Is it in your genital area? Is it in your hands? Is it in your head? Is it your ears that are saying no, 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 no? And wherever that is, ask your body in those places what color is necessary to wash that away, to open, to let the energy flow through those blocks. Just take a deep breath. What is the color that will open you? And just breathe deeply and feel that that color is flowing from the cosmos into your body and out through all those places. So that frequency of light is dissolving the blocks, the fears, the limitation, the qualifications. So that you can feel that there's a streaming that goes out, as if you were delightedly rushing out into the world to meet someone. And now, ask your higher self, that intuitive essence of your soul, what frequency of light you need to extend from you at this moment to give a message to the world. I'm available, I'm joyful, I'm wonderful. I will engage with you. And see what color that is, because color is very specific. It's a cosmic language. What color will give a pure message of companionship, of love, of connection? And again, draw that color from the cosmos down through the top of your head and out through your solar plexus and extend it out like a beacon of light. Just feel the pleasantness of doing that. Here I am. Extend it out. And as you extend it out, allow it to become like a horizon so that you can feel an infinite number of connections that are out there. Just extend it out. Take a deep breath and open your eyes. And so, what was the color that you needed to extend out to say, yes, I give permission?
It was sky blue, but it had glitter in it. It was like
Ooh.
sparkly blue. It was fabulous.
Fabulous, that
It
is.
was.
Well, because it's very interesting because I'm in this book, Potential Brain. I'm reading back over a book about the Russians in 1960, Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtains. And today, it was talking about how they discovered that blue, we know that blue is a color of relationship and spirit, but that blue, when it comes into the brain, when it comes into the amygdala, it creates that kind of illuminescence and sparkle that creates what I call the vibration in the astral body, which is, of course, the energy that's going out from you. So that sparkle is really a pure life force energy. Pure, high frequency life force energy. And if you're extending that sparkle out, that is going to create the kind of message that says, I'm joyous, I'm open, I'm infinite, I like the cosmos. Really lovely. Great. How about you?
Well, first I saw silver, but then it was silvery blue. It was beautiful.
Oh, look at that.
So it was
You
like,
guys are very related. Isn't that interesting? Well, silver, of course, we think of, what was his name? Cupid, not Cupid. Mercury, what was his name with the winged feet?
Mercury.
Mercury was Mercury, all right. Winged feet, and that silver means that speed. And silver represents the cosmos, the galactic energy. You know, something that's beyond the human body. And so when it came in as silver, it really said that that's the kind of partner that will be useful to you. Someone who has an expanded consciousness that includes an awareness that's beyond the, you have really good hands for the earth, but it's not that. It's a different octave that can come in. And when it then merged with the blue, again, it was giving that message of relationship. So that it was not just, two energies coming together because of synchronicity or something, but coming because of a particular relationship. So both of those are very good omens. And interesting, again, I will repeat to you, it may be that the thought forms that you're not aware of about the kind of partners you've had, or the imprints you have from your parents about what partnering is, or your own experiences are really in the way. That even if you think in your mind, well, I need a partner who is, spiritual like I am, or this or this or this, it's beyond what you think. And so I would definitely consider meditating or imagining, some beautiful galactic being coming in, because that's the kind of energy which will actually most support you both. You may think it would be wonderful to have a partner so we could share our lives and our interests here, and maybe even, here's a thought form that a lot of women have, a man who would support me financially, etc., etc. Again, the more you shift and expand out, the more those little anchors, I need to be supported financially, will come into place without you having to play around or focus on them. So you really need to get up there and out there and invite the cosmos in. And that's what I meant about, them saying in New Mexico, oh, there are too few men in New Mexico. Over here. Such an important conversation. We could go on for hours talking about relationship. Beautiful. So just know that when, as you said, it's time. Well, feel that time as if time just sparked you, just touched you. This is the synchronistic moment. So that it's got to be now, but, oh, this is it. Here it is. It's coming. It's here. That's the kind of vibration you want to have with it to manifest it.
I have a sort of convoluted question. I don't know how to express it exactly. But when a person is on a path of higher consciousness,
Yes.
and well, in the meantime, they run into people who are what would be considered very young, and they should be thinking young thoughts and thinking expansion rather than contraction. And those people have just closed the door because they're afraid, because in this day and age, they are afraid that by letting the cat out of the bag, so to speak, the way that they think about something, they'll lose their job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the other part of that is, how do you, as a person who is on a path of higher consciousness, influence it and help to raise their consciousness? Is there a subtle way of doing that?
Yes, there's a wonderful and easy, subtle way. And that is exactly as you're saying. We are all psychically connected.
Yes.
We have this telepathic link. We have this thread that links us together. And so, first of all, when we want to inspire someone, we never inspire them by saying, you should do this, or this is the truth, or this is the way it is. We inspire them by our joyfulness, by our compassion, by our openness. Oh, you don't have to agree with me. I don't care if you agree with me, but we can dance with it. we can engage. So if you're exuding that kind of energy, that supports them too, to not be afraid. You're so right, people are afraid if they actually said what they were interested in at work, they could lose their jobs. And I just have to say that, I can't tell you how many times with princes, with dictators, with diplomats, with people who are very visible and boom, 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 they have to look like this. I have had conversations that would knock your socks off. Just knock your socks off. Because it's their feeling that you're not afraid that allows them to converse with you. By which I mean, if you happen to be talking about something or mentioning something at work that, could be a little bit like religion or politics, not allowed at work, you'll be surprised at how many people will respond to you in a very positive way. Imagine, there you are at work, maybe there's 20 people in your workplace. There's probably 16 of them who are very aware of strange experiences or hunger for reality on a different level, but they are afraid. So it's about your being fearless that opens them up in a very casual way. The other aspect, which is what we call here technology of consciousness, is extending light, as I was mentioning in that last meditation, because light is cosmic language. Every color affects the cellular level, affects the master glands, the mental body, the emotional body in different ways. And so if there's several ways you could do it. You could, before you go to work every day, just kind of gather up all the people there, and what frequency of light do you need from me to connect on a spiritual level, to be open together. And then draw that color in from the cosmos and radiate it out to all those people. You could say, which of you is willing to tell your story? It's not only what we know, but you'd be surprised what they know. Which of you would be willing to tell your story that has to do with a spiritual experience or your deep, profound connections? That person, whoever pops up, what frequency of light do you need from me to know that you're safe with me? And draw that color in and extend it to them. And so it's not what we do with our mouths. It's what we do with our bodily expressions. It's what we do with the way we show love and compassion. Again, our minds really get in the way. Our minds really, really get in the way. I've never had a discussion with someone where I could not find a point of connection. So if you're looking for that, you'll find it with them, and that's where you begin. My higher self says, think of it in this way. It's not about whether they agree or they can't let go or they're not going to get there or any of those things. It's Johnny Appleseed. It's putting out the seeds.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
So sooner or later, something will.
Yeah, and see, the thing is that you have to look at, why are you waiting for the bingo in terms of yourself? It may be that you have had so many lifetimes as the teacher that it's hard for you not to say, look, let me just tell you, this is the way it is. Most of us have those kind of energies in us because we have knowing. We just forget that everybody else has it too. And so you really want to work on detaching for yourself, whether they get there or not. And this is a really important relationship conversation, because so often people say, I really like this person, I'm attracted to them, they have all the qualities, except that they're not interested in spirituality. Well, how can you not be interested in spirituality? We're spiritual beings. It's just you haven't been creative enough to figure out what that means to them. It may mean a walk in the woods. It may mean a baseball game at night. You know, it doesn't matter. Spirituality is interwoven in life itself. And so it's always up to us to find that. And then rather than putting it in a box and saying it looks like this, it looks like you go to meditation, or it looks like you do this or you practice that, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's about how this person opens their soul and how you are able to penetrate deeply enough to influence that. And so that's why compassion, not only patience, is important. Definitely at some point, I can't tell you how many people I've worked with, couples where that has been the issue. They get divorced And a year later, the other one of them, the one that wasn't on a spiritual path, is now on a spiritual path with somebody else, as if they had created all of those things themselves. Oh, they've discovered this and this and this and this, but they couldn't do it with the partner they had before. And so there's meaning to that, you know, there's purpose to that. It does not mean that they're not a spiritual person. It means that the person that they were with had karma with them and wasn't invested in the right way to open that up. Usually because we immediately slap our judgment on it, you know. Oh, well, you don't, blah, 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 blah. Instead of really seeing, what is that? We don't even have to use the words, ever do we have to use the words. You know, if you use the word spirituality, that'll scare about 50% of the people that you're talking with, because they'll relate it to religion or something they have in a box. And so you talk about what's deep inside someone, what they love. You know, do they love sitting outside and watching the sky? You know, do they, even if it's at a baseball game, you know, enjoy the baseball game with them. We're a human body, and see what else is going on there. Watch their passions, watch their sensitivities, watch their love, and amplify that, support that. You know, I think relationship is really, in fact, being in human body is really about being sort of the cheerleader type of being, you know. Look at that, look at that. I always say to my dog, that's right. That's right. And she really knows what I mean when I say, that's right. You know, so that's how we want to communicate that whoever you are, however you are, whatever you're doing, that's right. And that allows someone. I have never talked to anyone on any level or any plane of existence on this planet that sooner or later we couldn't get around to experiences that they've had in life that were magical. You know, so don't be afraid. But carry that. People will feel, if you're carrying that spiritual energy, that consciousness energy, people will be attracted to you. And they will poke that, because they'll pick it up psychically. And when they poke it, you can open it up and give it to them. But you can cause them to poke it by saying, what color do you need from me? To not be afraid to connect with me on that level, that consciousness level. And I think it's so exciting to explore and look at, where is that in someone? Because they have consciousness. They might be distracted by money or health or something else, but they all have it. Everyone has it. And it's just a matter of, and that's the yin energy, going with that, finding its source, and then amplifying it. That is definitely the highest doctrine. So let us all commit ourselves to being willing to allow that flowering of ourselves and everyone else on this planet.